Hey, it's Rusty Smith from Record, Mix, Repeat. I'm here today to talk to you about how to get a new song idea going quickly and not get bogged down in technical stuff so you can hear the idea coming together quickly. The secret is to have a template in your DAW and also to have your room set up to where all the outputs of the sources that you're going to record are hitting multiple inputs on your interface and showing up in your DAW, and you have a consistent setup that you can depend on. So when you grab a bass, you can lay that part down, pick up the guitar, lay that part down. If you want to put in a drum part or a keyboard part, it's just real quick and easy and everything's ready to go. It helps the flow, it helps you get your song put together quickly, and I'm going to show you how to do it. First thing to consider is, what are you going to record? What instruments do you need to have available, and what sources are these? Do you need microphones to do this? Are these line outputs? Are these instrument outputs? And then once you figure out what these sources are, you need to figure out, okay, what inputs do I have available? Do I have enough inputs, and do I have the right kind of inputs? So I'm just going to show you what I do. When I'm going to start a song, I kind of know what I'm going to do. I'm usually going to have either a bass guitar and or an electric guitar, and I'm going to have a microphone so I can come up with melodies with my voice. I'm going to lay down some basic drum stuff just so I can have a beat to play against. So let's look at some of the sources and how I get those sources into my interface. Believe it or not, I like to write a lot of stuff with a bass guitar and just with a vocal mic. The path that I use for the bass is as follows. So I have a black cord that I plug into my bass guitars, depending upon which one I want to play. That cord feeds a direct box right here, and it, of course, feeds an input on my interface, but it's multed to a BBE tube bass preamp, which feeds an input on my interface. I have the option to unplug that black cord and plug it into an API mic preamp, which feeds another input, a line input, on my interface to get a different sound if I wish. I use an Apollo X8 as an interface. It has multiple inputs. In order to set yourself up properly, you're gonna need to have an interface that has multiple inputs. Just having a couple of inputs, you're not gonna be able to do what we're talking about in this video. So this is the console that allows you to access all the inputs and outputs for my interface, the Apollo. These are the inputs that I use to get a song going. So bass guitar, I've got it set up to where it's going to come in one of two ways. I'm either going to be using the BBE bass preamp that has a tube preamp output that's coming into this channel on a mic input, because the output of the BBE is a microphone level, and the output of the direct box, which is a split of the bass guitar, comes into the fourth input, so I can get just a sound of the guitar itself. That's how I'm getting into the interface with the bass guitar in one way. The other way is I can switch to line on the third channel, and I will get the output of an API preamp if I just take the cord and unplug it from the direct box and plug it into the API preamp. What this is doing, I'm going through a really great preamp that's boosting the guitar from instrument up to line level, and it's a very great sounding preamp, and then I can take that and run that into any number of plugins that I want to use, and it's a great direct signal from the bass guitar. Other thing I like to do is use guitar to write stuff and track ideas when I come up with an idea. So here's how I get the guitar into the system and work quickly with that. A real quick way for me to get an amp sound that's easy and consistent and something that doesn't get in my way is to use this Fender Deluxe Reverb Tone Master. I'm not miking it. I'm using it as basically just an amp modeling device in conjunction with my Helix pedal board. This, of course, is the Helix. Here you can see I've got a couple of sends and returns. I've got this, this first send is just a DI that goes into an instrument input on my interface. And here's that input, EGT DI. I usually have it muted Sometimes if I'm not using another amp model, I'll put some amp models in here in this DI. But regardless, that's a DI coming out of that Helix. Here's another output. It's going to the Deluxe Reverb. Here's a return from the Deluxe Reverb. I've got distortion and wah-wah and compression in front of the Deluxe Reverb, and I've got various mods and delay after the Deluxe Reverb. So, and then the output of the Helix goes to a thing here that I call Helix, obviously Helix left right. You'll see it pop here. Okay, so that's a path for the guitar. This allows me to essentially just have a pedal board in front of the amplifier. So anyway, different effects, I can set them up and I can control them if I wish. I can at the pedal board, or I can control them over here, modify them however I'm working to get a little sound that I want. So that's the signal path for the guitar. If I'm in the mood to lay down an idea that involves an acoustic guitar, I can do that. I have a Taylor that since I'm not, I'm just trying to get the idea down. It has, it's an acoustic electric. So I'm not trying to get the thing, recorded ultimately. So I'll take the output of the guitar and I'll shove it right into an SSL alpha channel that's real clean, nice sounding channel. It's got a little bit of EQ on it. And I'll usually run it into, on the back side of that, or on an insert, I'll run it into an 1176 compressor. That's what the SSL sounds like. Most songs I write have a vocal to them. That's just how I hear songs in my head. And so I typically will have a microphone around so I can search for melodies, and I tend to find melodies with my voice. Especially if I'm writing with a bass guitar, I'll play a bass guitar and then I'll find a melody on top of that, and the easiest way to do that is just by humming it. I'm not necessarily singing words, I'm just doing a mumble track, I'm just trying to find melodies, and so I do have a microphone available when I'm doing it. The microphone, it's a dynamic mic, it's an SM7, I have it plugged into a UAD LA610 MK2, has a little bit of compression on it. As you can hear right now, I've got a little bit of reverb on it, so I monitor it with a little reverb. And I might print that reverb, or I might come up with a different reverb later. But it does help me hear the song, in a way that's not so dry, and it helps me create melodies. Okay, so you got to have a template for the DAW you're working in to accommodate all these inputs so you can get this stuff done. And it's a good idea to have a template because it's a workspace that you're familiar with and that allows you to work quickly in. I work in Studio One. Here it is now. When I'm going to start a new song, when I have a song idea, like we're talking about for this video, I have a template called Song Idea Startup. And I'll click on that and I'll tell it where I want it to put it, and I'll name it. And this is the template I use. It has two virtual drum programs available to me. It has a DI bass, a bass amp, so these work. I'll typically print on both tracks, sometimes just one. It has an organ track here, and it has a Wurlitzer track. It has an acoustic guitar track, it has an electric guitar track, and it has a couple of vocal reference tracks. Let's look at how I get in here from the interface. How about that? Here is what I've got in the room coming into the DAW that I'm using, okay? The first input, as you can see my voice popping right there, I'm using that track right now just to use a shotgun mic to do the video. Second input is DI EGT. EGT stands for electric guitar for me. Third input is either going to come out of the Barkus Berry tube bass preamp, or it's going to come straight from an API module that is aligned level. Fourth input is from the output of the direct box that the bass guitar is plugged into. input 5 and 6 is the output of the Helix. It says purple and green because when I was growing up, I had a friend who, he was a good friend of mine when in grade school, and he said that he saw something that was purple and green, and he goes, purple and green, and for some reason that stuck with me forever, and I ended up having gotten my hands on some purple and green cables, so that's what I use. And so purple and green, I know what it is. It's basically a couple of XLR females that you can plug into the output of anything that has line level or has an XLR output. I use it with the Helix for the most part, though. The 7th and 8th input is the UAD 610 that I use for vocals and the SSL that I'll use for acoustic guitar. Okay, so that's what is coming in from my wonderful I/O there, and I know where these things show up, and I've labeled them such that I know what they are, and so you can see it here. If I look at the bass, it says BBE/API2. If I look at this, the bass amp, it says BBE/API bass. That's how I'm getting in here, and so if I pick up a bass guitar and I want to track a bass guitar, it's real simple. You just arm that bass, pick it up, start playing, and it's going to record. So let's see if that works. Boom. We see them popping there on the meters. On the other hand, if we want to hear the electric guitar, we can just arm the electric guitar tracks. Pick up the electric guitar real quick here. There it lives in all its glory. We see it popping here. Monitoring it. Where are we monitoring it? Well, we're monitoring it in the console. And there it is. And that's how quickly you can change the guitar. So there we go. We got the electric guitar and the bass we can get to easily and quickly and arm them, and there they are, ready to go to record. Okay, so virtual instruments. I've shown you what I've got coming in from the room. Here's what's going on in the software itself that I'm using. I've got this drum program here from Reason that I have a drum kit that I like the way it sounds. If I arm the track, I can trigger real easily a drum part. I've got another drum program here. I've got two in my session that sound different from each other. I like the idea of having a couple of different things to choose from. Superior Drummer 3 and Reason drums are the two drum kits that I've got, and I can quickly lay stuff down with a pad here, easily, quickly put down something simple that I can play against. Another thing I've got in a virtual instrument is I've got this organ sound that is in Reason. It's a virtual instrument in Reason. You can modify the sound of it and everything, and it's a nice Leslie organ there. Another thing I've got is a little Wurlitzer sort of thing here. I'm not a keyboard player really, but I can make noise on it if I just pound on it enough, and I can come up with a couple of simple parts that help the songs occasionally. The ideas come together. I typically don't write on keyboard. I have in the past. Just, depends. So we've looked at the bass and the guitar and the keyboards and the drums. Suffice it to say that if I, arm this AGT, we're going to be able to hear it as well. AGT stands for acoustic guitar in my vernacular. Same thing with regard to vocal, okay? I can record vocal as I go along. Okay, so in practice, how does this work? Well, having all your inputs put together, and just like we've talked about with the session and all the stuff, and it all stays the same, and you can switch quickly. If you do come up with an idea, you kind of can go like this. I know I have a chord change. I programmed a quick drum loop, and I'm going to record electric guitar to the drum loop. All right. So let's give it a run. And I know a melody. I'm going to sing it like an octave low because I'm just hunting around for it. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but here we go. Okay, so there's a section. Oh, okay, there's the idea. Well, play it back. Let's make sure we're hearing what we want to hear here. Great, okay, so there it is. Now let's see, I want to put a bass part to that. Let's mess with that. We'll disarm these guys. Want kind of a distorted, funky-ass bass sound here. Turn that vocal down a little bit because I want to try and get the bass part to work with the guitar part here. Okay, so there you are, a basic idea put together. Let's listen to it. So there you go. We had drum part, guitar part, bass part, threw them down real quick because we were able to grab the instruments. You know, got a basic idea put down. If I wanted to keep working on it, I'm moving forward, I could do so by picking up whatever instrument I needed to pick up and recording it as I went along, editing it, doing whatever. The big thing is when you have an idea in your head and you're trying to get it done, have everything that you can grab quickly, track quickly, so you can put the idea together, see if you like it. Hope this helped you out. I'm Rusty Smith with Record, Mix, Repeat. Please subscribe if you liked what you saw.